Hey there everyone, so I've been playing a lot of the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite demo recently because I still believe that this game is super fun despite some of the graphical controversies with it. And as such, I've done a lot of speculation on what sort of alternate costumes I'd really like in the game, whether they be just an alternate color or a full-blown actual alternate outfit that changes how the character actually works, maybe changes some voice lines and stuff. I think that'd be super neat. So I'm going to be going down some of the alt costumes I'd really like to see in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Now, as a bit of a warning, I am going off of the leaked list combined with all the stuff that we know is already coming out for the game, so there might be some spoilers of characters that aren't revealed yet if you've been avoiding the leaked lists, starting with the first one, so I'm just going to say you might want to click off right now if you don't want that spoiled, but here we go. So to start things off, we have Ant-Man, who I assume is going to be using a costume similar to his MCU style, and as such, the only alternate costume I could really think of is the classic Ant-Man. Now, of course, if he's using the classic Ant-Man, it'll go into his alternate costume will be the MCU one. That's the only real thing I can see them going with, aside from making a Giant Man costume for him. It should be warned right now, I am pretty into comics, but not gigantically into it, so there'll be some Marvel characters that I won't have a lot to go off of. For all I know, there could be millions and millions of crazy cool alternate costumes, but for the most part, I'm just going with what I found through my knowledge, as well as a base Google search. After that, we have Arthur from Ghosts and Goblins. Now, I could definitely see them going with a similar costume they had in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, where he turns into a skeleton as his downgraded form instead of being in his underwear, by having his underwear be his default. But if I could choose one costume for him that I think has a very small chance of being in but would be super dope, it would be his costume that was used in Cannon Spike, which is a weird PS1 top-down shooter featuring a bunch of Capcom characters. Arthur was in it, and he had this gigantic mecha suit, which looked super dope. So if you just take that and just put it down a bit to be fit the dimensions of him, I think it would be super cool, but something that they're probably not going to ever bring up ever again. After Arthur, we have the second DLC character that was confirmed, and that's Black Panther. Now, on the one hand, I feel like there's a lot you could do with Black Panther, featuring him without a mask, or featuring him as just T'Challa himself. There's also these alternate costumes that you see on the screen right now. I don't know where they're from, but I found them on Google search and thought, hey, those are pretty cool. But I could also see them just picking a bit more of an easier route and just having his alternate costume be him with the cape on. Him and Sigma both wear capes in their concept art, and I'm sure they're going to discard them as part of their intro. And it would be easier for them to just have the cape on as an alternate costume. I hope they don't do that, but that is something that they might do. I really hope they decide to go a little more above and beyond, and maybe just have the cape be something like a button combo you put in, such as in Street Fighter V, to keep it on during a fight, because a man fighting with that cape on looks so much cooler, although it makes more sense to throw it off from a strategic standpoint. Next up, we have Captain America. Now, he's using a very MCU-style outfit in this game, and as such, I think a classic Captain America costume would be the best for him. Something with the little head wings, maybe put on the classic shield with it, like they did in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Otherwise, just a general Steve Rogers alt would be nice. I'm very much for the superheroes having an alter ego style skin where they just play as themselves without the costumes, or with a slightly modified one, a casual cosplay costume if you were. Something similar to what you saw in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. There's a lot you could do with Cap, including picking one based on the ongoing right now Secret Empire, putting in a Hydra cap. I think that'd be neat, although I would prefer that to just be an alternate color scheme, and then put the Hydra logo on the shield like you did the Punisher shield in Marvel 3. Cap is very open for costumes, and I feel like whatever they do will be pretty good. That said, if there was one costume that I feel like there's a very small chance of having for Cap, but would be the best, it would be the Falcon as Captain America, which is going on in the comics, the Sam Wilson Cap. And the reason why is because I feel like it's visually distinct. It doesn't have to change up the moveset at all, but then that would also, you'd now have the Falcon as a playable character. Mind you, it would just be a cosmetic thing, but I feel like just give him a few new voice lines, similar to what happens in Injustice 2 when you change the costumes. And I feel like that'd be the best alternate costume for Captain America, though the chances of that happening are pretty slim. You're asking Capcom to add in unique voice lines per costumes, which they haven't done in a Street Fighter game, well, the only thing I can think of is in Marvel 3. Some characters had alternate lines when you wore the costumes, but that was it. So we'll have to see. I don't think it'll happen, but it'd be pretty cool. Captain Marvel's costume has already been revealed, actually, and it is her Carol Danvers pilot outfit, and I think it looks super dope. It's probably one of the best ones we've seen in the game for the Marvel side, because the other Marvel ones are a little more predictable, but this is a great pick for them, for sure. Chris Redfield is using his Resident Evil 5 look, and I don't think they'll put in his look from Resident Evil 6 or 7, aside from possibly one of these alternate costumes, including the one here, which is Chris Redfield in his RE5 sort of warrior Mad Max look. I think that'd be hilarious, and I know a lot of people really like this costume for reasons, and I could definitely see them putting that in, but my pick definitely would be his Resident Evil 6 alternate costume, which is him dressed in a kimono looking like a samurai. He even has a full back tattoo. I think this one would be so cool, and they're probably going to go back to being Resident Evil 1 Chris, because that is the easier one for them to do. It's just a slight change, it's not a huge one, but I really like that kimono alt. It looks so cool. And I feel like getting some more, Japanese representation, even though Chris is obviously an American, would be so cool. Now, ChunLi has way too many costumes in all of video games, especially Street Fighter V, where she is the most out of pretty much everyone. And, well, I feel like they're gonna go with Alpha ChunLi again, because that is her iconic alternate costume, or perhaps one of the ones you've seen in Street Fighter V. There's one costume that I feel they might not do because it's a cross-company thing, but I think would be super cool, and that is have ChunLi be an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, we've had Police ChunLi, because of course she's with Interpol in Street Fighter V, so instead of, you're gonna build off of that and have her be an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. instead. I feel like that'd be super cool, where you'd have kind of a S.H.I.E.L.D. playable character, though of course the fact that that is a cross-company thing might be a bit of an issue, so maybe even just a S.H.I.E.L.D. inspired costume, or maybe the police uniform in black. We'll have to see, but I think that'd be a really cool new alternate costume for her, because she has way too many to begin with. Now, as Dante is using his Devil May Cry 3 outfit, you can easily switch it out to one of his outfits from, say, Devil May Cry 1, 2, 4, or even, and I know this is going to be a bit controversial, but I think a Devil May Cry reboot costume would actually be pretty fun. I know a lot of people don't like Dino, but I feel like as a costume, it would definitely change him up a lot, and would be a nice reference. Now, on the other hand, a costume that I know a lot of people would like, whether he be a playable character or an alt, would be Nero from Devil May Cry 4, who he fits the body type of Dante quite well, and I think that'd be actually a pretty neat costume. Just have the voices change, even if you don't have it change. Remember, in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Zero's voice did not change in the X costume, so they may not have a problem with or Nero sounding like Dante, but I feel like there's a lot you can do with Dante, but they might just go back with having the legendary Dark Knight skin, because of course that is the Dante skin that you got in Devil May Cry 1, 2, 3, I think it's in 4 in the special edition, so that is the iconic alternate Dante, and I think they might stick with that. Firebrand's a weird one, because Firebrand, being a generic enemy, even though he has his own series of games, doesn't have much in way of costume, so I can't see them doing anything else but reuse the one from Marvel vs. Capcom 3, because it is the only costume that I could even find he had, aside from just color palette changes. So I think they'll just bring that one back, maybe up-res it a bit, change it up, make it a bit more ornate. That's about all you can do, unless they do something from another company or something, which I can't see them doing. Gamora in this game is using her modern comic version, and as such, they could very easily put in an MCU or classic alternate costume. However, I would really like to see a costume based on Nebula, you know, her sister. Make it a little MCU inspired, because you gotta get those MCU dollaroos if the MCU costume just ends up being an alternate skin, like a color. But otherwise, you also have this bikini outfit I found through Google. There's a lot you can do. I feel like the female characters always have a lot more. However, with the rumors of the desexualization of the game going on to make it more esports friendly, there's a chance they might keep it a bit more conservative. So as such, I definitely think a Nebula costume would be the way to go. Hawkeye's quite easy also, a bit of another Firebrand situation where, because in the last game he used the classic look and is this time using the updated one, I'd assume it'd flip the other way around, and that we would see classic Hawkeye as an alternate, while featuring his modern one as his default. The only other thing I could see is maybe Kate Bishop as Hawkeye, but at the same time, that'd be a bit of a hitbox thing, so I don't know, I think maybe bring back the Ronin one from 3, but for the most part, I think it's safe to assume we'll get classic Hawkeye just as an alternate costume. The Hulk's alternate costume has already been shown off, along with Thor's, Mega Man X's, and Ryu's, and that is his Planet Hulk costume. This time updated a bit to be a bit more gladiatorial. It's not the exact same, looking a lot more like he is in the upcoming Thor Ragnarok. So as such, that one's already confirmed. Not much to say. I wouldn't have much for Hulk anyways. He's kind of a bit... You can't change the Hulk. I can't see them using the new Hulk. I think it's Arthur Chu, is it? The new Hulk guy? I can't see them putting in that alternate costume because it is too similar, sadly. Now, the Monster Hunter is a weird one because being an RPG series, he has just so many alternate costumes you could pick, so I'm pretty sure they'll go with Rathalos as the default and have Rathian, I can't even think of them right now, all the different Rathaloses and Rathians as the alternate color schemes. And then you could do anything with the alternate costume. So as such, I'm not even going to make a guess for what the alt would be, because we don't even know what the main one's going to be. But I'm pretty sure it's going to, because the Rathalos armor is the iconic one. It's the one that when people think of Monster Hunter, it's the one that's used. Even in Smash Bros, when they put in the default Hunter set, but then they also put in the Rathalos armor, because that is the iconic one. So we'll have to see what they pick. I'm down for whatever it is. Of course, it could be a simple case of have the male hunter be the regular and female hunter and her alts be the DLC one. I could see them doing that, because of course that is a major part of Monster Hunter, but we'll have to see. Now, Iron Man's another situation of having so many costumes that it's hard to pick. That said, I would really like to see a costume based on War Machine, you know, bring up that Marvel vs. Capcom lore from the fact that they couldn't use Iron Man in Marvel vs. Capcom 1, so they had to use War Machine instead. So put in a War Machine costume, like a really good one. Even the America-style one from Iron Man 3 would be pretty cool, because then you get a bit of the Iron Patriot in there. But for the most part, you could do whatever. He has a whole array of suits, and we'll have to see which one. There is some modern comic ones that are a lot sleeker that are cool, but we'll have to see. But if there's one costume that I would really like that has a very small chance of happening, I would love to see just plain old Tony Stark with repulsor blasts on his hand, as well as just feet boosters. So you just have basic Tony fighting. Now, you might say, well, how does the arm, like the shoulder rockets come out? And I don't know, man, just have, like, tech appear. I mean, he makes a giant cannon appear. It's not that weird. But I would love just a regular Tony Stark alternate costume. He is the navigator along with Dr. Light for the gallery mode, so I feel like the model's there. They just have to potentially use it. Jeddah from Darkstalkers was really hard to find stuff for, because he has only been in one game aside from a few of the RPGs, but of course being a villain in an RPG, he doesn't have alternate costumes in there. So my only two thoughts for him are having a Dimitri costume, you know, the main character of Darkstalkers who has never ever appeared in a crossover game pretty much, because they are similar in body type kind of, so you can just have him say he's using his blood magic to sort of pretend to be Dimitri. But the only other one that I could see, and this might be a little too sexual or a little too, I don't know, weird would be to have the Midnight Bliss version of Jeddah, being when Dimitri uses Midnight Bliss move, he grabs the opponent and then they turn into a female if they're a guy, because hey, that's just what Dimitri do. But can I just say, trying to find pictures of Midnight Bliss Jeddah was that would be okay for YouTube was really tough. So I don't know, they might not go with it in the end because it is very sexual, but I feel like that's the only one that is a true alternate costume for him that would work. Even if you keep the voice the same, I don't think people would be too worried, but that would be a really good costume. I think it'd be... And hey, it would up the female count by one, kind of. Now, unlike Jeddah, Morgan has a lot of costumes on her wide history of being a Capcom icon, despite not having many games of her own. And as such, there's a lot you can go with, including the Nurse Morgan, which you saw in Puzzle Fighter, as well as a recent Capcom figure. You can go with Morgan in a yukata, because of course that is, you know, it's a little classier. It's very, very, very popular. But if there's one I would really like to see in, it would just be having a Lilith alternate costume, because of course, Lilith being a part of Morgan, and being a moveset clone, I mean, aside from being a head swap, she's more of a bust swap, but hey, would work. And you just have to not even change the voice and just say Lilith took over Morgan's body, which I'm sure happened in one game, and it's a thing. So, like, yeah, I don't think that'd be much of an issue, and it would up the playable character count, technically. So I think that'd be pretty cool. Nemesis, again being a villain from a video game, does not have many alternate costumes to go off of, so I could definitely see them reusing his one from Marvel vs. Capcom 3 being the shirtless one, but if there was one costume I would like to see them try to do, it would be Mr. X from Resident Evil. He has a similar body type and is of the same, like, virus class, so I feel like that'd be a really cool costume. Change up his head, make him not as ugly, but then keep the moves to be the same. The only problem would be he's level 3, where he turns into a giant monster. It would be a bit uncanon with him being not the one that turns into that, but hey, that's fine. That's a small detail. I mean, honestly, half the moves Zero did as X never did, so that's fine. For Nova, of course, you can go with the younger, newer Nova, whose name totally eludes me. But there's a lot of different Nova, as there is the entire Nova Corps that they could use. In fact, I would actually like to see an MCU Nova Corps inspired alternate costume. But pretty much whatever Nova does is gonna be good. There's a lot of Novas, so you can pick one. I think there's 2 characters in Marvel named Nova. One of them's what's it called? A Silver Surfer Herald for Galactus. So I don't know, they could pick whatever one of those, but I'm down for whatever with him. Now, as Rocket Raccoon is updated to his MCU look as well, I would like to see his classic comic as well as MvC3 costume be used as his alternate. That said, it would be with the newer face and everything. He's less short, less stubby. He's more of a normal proportioned, like, human-y raccoon. Like, he's not as short as he is in Marvel 3, just the same outfit, but different, the updated proportions for sure. Sigma, being the first DLC character, includes his alternate costume, which is quite nice, but again, I'm kind of worried it'll just be him without a cape, which I think, or with the cape if he throws it off, which would be kind of sad. That said, there's a few alternate costumes I would love to see him have, including his X5 costume, which I feel like works best in terms of all of his other bodies are kind of different in body shape and have him using different weapons. His one from X5 is very, very close in terms of shape to his original body from X1, which is the one in Marvel Infinite, and would feature him looking quite different, quite a bit sleeker and cooler. The cape on this one is super cool, being the purple gradient on it. I feel like it would look great in battle. The other costume I could see them giving him is his X8 damaged body. So this one being him with his body disintegrating. I think this would be really cool as a like a battle damage Sigma, if you will, and he uses his sword in this one, and if they switch it out to his X8 sword, I think that would also be pretty cool. That said, this one is slightly different in terms of body shape, because parts of him are kind of disintegrating off, and he has the horns, so they might not go for it in the end, but I feel like that would be definitely a really cool one. Spencer kind of has his costume from Marvel 3 as the go-to one, which is the Bionic Commander rearmed one, though this time I would love to see him have the mustache. Spider-Man, like Iron Man, has had so many costumes over the years it's really hard to pick just one. So here's a few that I think would look good on him in the game. The first one is the Superior Spider-Man. It's kind of like the Armored Spider, but has a much better color scheme in my opinion. I don't like the red and gold. After that, we have the next version, which is the Superior Octopus. Now, if the leaks about Doc Ock being DLC or in the main game are true, then I could see this one not being in because, of course, he has the big tentacles. However, if he's not, I think this is a cool way to put Otto Octavius in the game. Finally, I really think a cool sort of casual look would be great for him. Something similar to what we've seen in the trailers for Homecoming, as well as this artwork I have on screen, which was just concept art for a redesign of Spider-Man. I think a Peter Parker-ish one would do wonders in the game. Doctor Strange is one I'm not picky on, except in one regard. I do not want the Blue Man Group alt from Marvel vs. Capcom 3 brought back. I think it is the dumbest looking costume ever. I know it's been in the comics and everything, but it looks so bad. So for my pick for him, I'd probably go with the Defender's costume, which you see here. He gets a crazy handlebar mustache, which, hey, that's cool. More mustache DLC, please. Now, Strider's interesting because, well, in the last game we got Classic Strider as a costume, which I could definitely see them bringing back. Between this game and the last one, we've actually had a Strider reboot happen, and he got a redesign for that one, which is different enough, in my opinion, that I think they might use it for in the game, featuring a holographic scarf as well as a really cool sort of cyber-techno face mask. I think that this costume might be a little too similar, but at the same time I feel like if they just changed the color tint of the outfit from the regular one, I think it would be different enough and cool enough to be in for sure. Thanos was in Marvel vs. Capcom in the second one, actually, and as it's been a while since that game, there's been a bit of time and he's had a bit of a redesign. Not much, but a bit. But I would definitely love to see a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or classic comic costume featuring him with slightly less gold and more yellow, looking like he did in his original incarnation there. But if that's too similar, which I could see being a problem, definitely Farmer Thanos from the end of the Infinity Gauntlet comics would be really nice to have in. A little bit more casual, you know? I'm gonna assume that Ultron gets Ultron Sigma as a costume in the game, as it is, of course, already designed, and I can definitely see them putting that in. However, at the same time, I could see them not, due to the fact that it is a boss character with a different moveset, so it might have a few issues there. So as such, some costumes I'd really like to see Ultron have include his MCU, like, first version, where he's just the malfunctioning Iron Legion, or something, say, from this concept art that was what the MCU Ultron was gonna be, or if they want to go stupid crazy, just put in the female Ultron that looks really weird. But I could see them doing it, cause hey, DLC money, people gotta pay for something, you know? Now, Venom was a leaked DLC character, and honestly, we don't know what he's gonna look like, so as far as I'm aware, what I'm about to show is how he will look. But I really do want Agent Venom in. The Venom that has all the sort of body armor instead of looking like just a Spider-Man clone. I think that this Venom is actually super cool as an alt, not as a main. The main Venom, in my opinion, is still the coolest, but I'd love to see this put in, along with keeping the symbiote powers. And finally, the last character on our list, we have Zero, who, being a Mega Man character, has a lot of costumes. I put it up on Twitter asking people which costume they think he'll have, and because, of course, Mega Man X got his Command Mission alt, a lot of people think that he will get his. Now, mind you, his default costume in Command Mission is the same. However, he gets a unique costume called Absolute Zero in Command Mission, which I've heard a lot of people say that they want that to be his costume. And I could see that happening, but at the same time, I hate Absolute Zero. I think it looks like such a dumb costume, especially with the bat wings that don't move robotically, but move like flappy little bat wings. So instead, I would definitely love to see Mega Man 00 be put in, because of course we didn't get that last time due to them putting in X as a costume. But since X is playable now, we might finally get Mega Man 0 in 3D. Or go crazy, get a really, really crazy callback, and put in the Battle Network the Battle Network 0.exe, which, you know, was only in the one game, but so was the Command Mission alt. So I feel like there's a lot they can do with Zero, and I'm looking forward to pretty much whatever. And so there we have it. These are all the costumes I'd like to see in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I'd love for you to leave your suggestions. Remember, these are just what I thought would be cool. Don't get mad at me because I didn't put one in. Show me ones that you think would be awesome, and I'd love to see them. I'm all for speculation for alternate costumes. I think that's part of the fun with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Now that we know the characters, now it's just what do they do with the characters. So thank you all for watching, guys, and we'll see what happens next time with this game. I'm loving playing the demo, so you know you're going to see more coverage of it on this channel. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Ciao.